going on, Jerome's beautiful Wednesday? Happy hump day out there to those who celebrate. It's time for another Vikings news dump. Now, not gonna lie, like AI has grown by leaps and bounds over like the last year. Like this is insane. Like he doesn't have an extra finger. Like it doesn't really look like him, but it kind of looks like him. I feel like we've come a long way since Tom Hanks and the Polar Express in terms of the uncanny valley. Like I feel like we are so close to have like people convicted of crimes because of AI altered digital blah blah blah, right? Video, photos is what's gonna happen, man. But I just feel like I can feel this in my bones. I feel like this is a predicting what's going to happen in the future. J.J. McCarthy hoisted a dozen Jerome Bardys in the next 10 years, and it's going to be great. And also, not to get dark, but I don't know, for whatever reason, I've been thinking about my own mortality a little bit. And like when it's all over, is it just like Sopranos fade to black? Is there an afterlife? I am a Christian. I do believe in heaven, but also I'm like a Christian who believes like, I don't know, maybe you come back. Guess who's back? Back again. Shady's back. Tell a friend, right? Not like full on reincarnation, but I don't know, maybe get a do-over. I don't know. I don't think I've told anyone this on the show. I have had like flashes where I feel like I've lived previous lives. I feel like in one life, I was definitely like a Jewish deli owner in New York in like the 30s or something. Or maybe I just really like pastrami. I don't know. Also, I feel like I was alive in the Wild West at some point. I don't know. How come all of my lives are very American-centric? But don't know, man. But anyways, thinking about like, so the wife and I were watching the show, or was it a movie, where one of the older characters had, dementia, Alzheimer's, and it was really sad, right? Because I have had loved ones and family members who have had Alzheimer's, and it is really sad when the mind goes and you don't recognize friends, families, loved ones. It's a tough way to go, right? But I'm thinking about writing this into my will because I feel like my kids have a sense of humor. If I ever get like Alzheimer's or dementia, I want my kids, I want my caretaker, I want my wife to convince me every single day that the Vikings have won a dozen Super Bowls in 10 years. I know that's so trivial, but I feel like it would brighten moods. You know what I mean? Just every single day. Like AI will be so good by then. Like it will be like 50 first dates in the whole, Klein-Saucer game, except just show the Vikings winning Super Bowl over and over and over and over and over again. Like, J.J. McCarthy, back 50 years ago when I was a younger man, J.J. McCarthy was winning Super Bowls, and then like Kevin O'Connell Jr., quarterback in the team, and then coaching the team, dad's legacy. They put Kevin O'Connell on Mount Rushmore, in between Lincoln and Roosevelt. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, because it's Washington, Lincoln, Roosevelt, Jefferson. That doesn't matter. I don't know what we're accomplishing right now. It doesn't matter. Happy Wednesday. That's right, baby. But J.J. McCarthy making the rounds, doing interviews and stuff, talking about how he's ahead of schedule. Looking forward to him at OTAs, as well as talking about what the future holds. Is it going to be his show? Is Sam Darnold going to be back for another season after his success in 2024? Vikes fan page. Vikings quarterback J.J. McCarthy, what the future holds. Control what I can control and attack every day with enthusiasm. He was talking with Rich Eisen, of course, 2 Michigan alums. All I can ask is for a fair opportunity. And the kid's wise beyond his years. He just turned 22. Like, he's got a great head on his shoulder. He bought Joe Mauer's house. I think he's engaged. So he's putting down roots, and he is ready to lead this team, right? And I love his work ethic, love the sort of is what it is stoic philosophy, that he carries around with himself. I feel like he is the right man to lead this team, and he's the right quarterback for Kevin O'Connell. Right? I think JJ is going to be great, man. Plus, he's fired up. He's absolutely fired up. Persuasion. Vikings quarterback J.J. McCarthy talks about how much Kevin O'Connell means to him and how excited it is to go to war with him next year. Quote, "We get a chance to go to war every single game, every single day. next year, it's going to be a fun ride, and he can't wait to get back with his teammates and all that stuff too. And you know this too. After the Vikings got eliminated, JJ McCarthy definitely leaned into the social media on the old Twitter machine as well as Instagram about fired up, getting ready for next year, because he knows. I feel like he understands that this is his squad, this is his team, asserting his dominance. He did talk yesterday about how how much he learned from Sam Darnold, how much he's got a friend for life with Sam. But it's McCarthy's show. It really is. And the whole thing with Darnold, because now I can see clearly now the rain is gone, because you're seeing media reports come out, a little bit of smoke that, hey, the Vikings could keep Sam Darnold. I feel like a bajillion percent this is Kwesi playing the game. Just a little bit of tidbits out there to Burt Breer and Florio and especially Pelissero and Market. Hey, maybe we'll keep him. Just a smidgen of trying to gin up a tag and trade market, which Kwesi obviously would be hammering, getting after right now, since the tag window opens up on the 18th. And I think that the Vikings could definitely get a deal in place. I think the Vikings could freshen up some of their mid-round draft capital this year, which would be great, versus hanging around and hoping you get a 2026 third-round comp pick. So we'll see. I think that 95% Darnold is gone in some fashion, whether it's free agency, whether it's tag and trade. I just don't see him back. I just don't. All right, but I wish him luck wherever he goes, as long as he doesn't go to the. Actually, I don't care where he goes next. But the whole thing about leaking to saying it's a fluid situation. Nah. And this is what gives me hope that the Vikings can tag and trade Sam Darnold, where this is the top free agents: Darnold, Fields, Russell Wilson, Jameis, and Kirk Cousins can probably be available out there after the Falcons cut him, so he can be signed for a league minimum deal. You're really excited about a 37-year-old Kirk Cousins off of that season. Yeah, and it does seem like the Jets may run it back with Aaron Rodgers for one more year with Aaron Glenn. But, I mean, this on top of a not-so-great quarterback class, I mean, so many teams need quarterbacks, and it just makes me feel like Kwesi can certainly get something done. And it's beautiful. Speaking of Kurt, Falcons fans are not happy at all, man. Like, first off, they weren't happy that they paid so much for a quarterback who clearly was past the sell-by date, and also, thank heavens that they took Penix Jr. At 8. But basically, Kirk Cousins went on national television and threw Raheem Morris as coach and Terry Fontenot's GM under the bus. It was great. Mark Raimondi, Falcons writer. Kirk Cousins admitted for the first time today on Good Morning Football that he took a hit during the Falcons' Week 10 game against the Saints and hurt his right shoulder and elbow. That game was the start of Atlanta's 4-game losing streak. So Kirk Cousins looked very bad throughout the midst of the season, including his game against the Vikings, where Sam Darnold was just out there having target practice. It was glorious, but Kurt wasn't right. They should have started Penix a lot earlier than they did, but I understand it's like the whole sunk cost fallacy. It's like, oh, we're going to be embarrassed if he doesn't start. He was bad, right? And also, it's so funny. It's like clockwork, where if a player has a tough season, after the year, he'll come out and disclose, or there'll be reports that, oh, he played through an injury throughout the entire year, and that's why he was ass. Thank you, right? Or if a player, toughs it out and plays well, then it'll be like, oh, it was a very severe injury. We call it the Ben Roethlisberger special, right? Because every single time Roethlisberger was out there, and whether he looked injured, whether he played a tough game, it's like, oh, he's hurt. Like he's actually was torn limb from limb by a lynx. I don't know why I picked lynx. By a bobcat, or he's trampled by elk, and he still showed up and threw for 303 touchdowns. That's what he did, man. But Kurt, Falcons fans are so pissed. They're very unhappy today. But basically, Kurt shouldn't have been playing, and Kurt is hurt. And Kurt, who wants 37-year-old Kurt right now? No one. Speaking of which. This is great. So, of course, it's become commonplace talking about the officials in the National Football League. Oh, the script. Oh, it's fit. I love that everyone has basically just accepted that the league might be scripted. All right. And, the whole thing is like, maybe the refs just want a single team to win, whether it's the Chiefs, whether it's whoever. Or I love how it's so commonplace now that if going into a game, it's like, 90% of the bets and the money are on one team, and then magically the other team just happens to win, right? That happened in the Commies Lions wild card game. It happens frequently throughout the season where it's just like, and then the joke is like, Vegas made a call. And I love that everyone's become so numb to it, we just sort of accept it, right? But long story longer, Aaron Mario of My Sports Update, statement from Executive Director of the NFL Referees Association, Scott Green, quote, "It is insulting and preposterous to hear conspiracy theories that somehow 17 officiating crews consisting of 138 officials are colluding to assist one team." I feel like Scott Green doth protest too much. I feel like I wasn't thinking about how 17 officiating crews and 138 officials were all in on it and all colluding, but now I am. Like, I didn't even know that there was a ref union to begin with. I didn't know that you get to unionize if you're all part-time employees. You're all seasonal workers. Like you're basically the cashier at Michael's during Christmas. That's it, man. Just get the hell out of here, right? And it's not so much are they all colluding to have one team win, just consistency across the board. Like it just feels like they get so many calls wrong. It seems like it could be easily correctable with assistance from the eye in the sky. Now, I'm not saying that the Park Avenue or the fifth official up in the booth should overturn or call holds or DPI or anything like that. Anything happens, boom, boom. But what about like if they call personal foul hitting the quarterback in the head when the defender misses, right? Or face mask that goes called or uncalled, right? I feel like things like that can be fixed, a lot like VAR in soccer, but I don't know, we'll see, right? And of course, since all the sports leagues are getting so in bed with sports betting and gambling, and there's so much money on the line now, anytime that there's a lot of money on the line, there is an opening for malfeasance, right? And you see it in the NBA now. I mean, players under investigation for maybe manipulating their props a little bit. Plus, the umpire, well-regarded guy, Pat Hoiberg, fired for letting a friend bet on a sports account. Now, did this affect Hoiberg's integrity as an official? Probably not, but it's not a good look, right? And I feel like the way that all the leagues have just sold their asses to sports betting sites, it's not good. And this is not some sort of puritanical look from me, because I partake in putting jelly beans down, but frankly, I don't like that every single piece of sports media, everything about the games now is about sports betting, right? First off, you can't beat sports betting. Sorry, you can't, especially since they push parlays. Parlays are the most idiotic way to sports bet if you're looking to make a profit, right? The odds that they offer on like 5 and 6 leg parlays are criminal. Even 2-team parlays are just ridiculous, man. Plus, the odds that the sportsbook puts out, you're never going to beat minus 115, let alone barely beat 110, right? It's just, I mean, you're minus 115 both ways. It's just, that hole's too big to overcome. But I digress there. And again, I understand that parlays are supposed to be fun, but at a certain point, it's not like alcohol and drugs. Some people can do it and they're fine. Some people should absolutely never partake. And it's exactly the same thing with sports betting. But I feel like it's gotten way too easy and way too socially accepted just to fire things up. And then they got commercials. Don't chase your losses. Okay. Sure. Anyways. Speaking of the refs, so the Chiefs, around the NFL, stellar 2022 draft class is a big reason why the Chiefs have a chance at three-peat Sunday in Super Bowl, blah, 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 per Kevin Patrick. So the Chiefs 2022 draft class is really damn good. So they got draft pick surplus because of the Tyreek Hill trade, but McDuffie, I actually think McDuffie is the most underrated corner in the game. I truly believe that. Jumping George Karlaftis, Greek Freak, getting after things. Sky Moore, Brian Cook has been legit. Leo Chenal has been in that mix as well. Pacheco, obviously. So, I mean, they got Jalen Watson. They got so many dudes that contributed from this 2022 draft class, and it's a big reason why they're going for the third straight Super Bowl. Now, on the other hand, the 2022 Vikings draft class, I don't know. Here's what's funny to me. So Flores gets credit for the free agent class this year with Cashman, AVG, Grenard, etc. But Kwesi full on gets the blame because of the 2022 draft class. Even though, do you think Ed Donachel, the 2022 defensive coordinator, do you think that he had some input here too? Maybe he and his defensive staff loved Lewis Seen and loved Andrew Booth Jr. and loved Asamoah and Caleb Evans and Asese and etc. Maybe they were all in on those defensive players, but they bust, and it's not Donachel's fault. Like I don't even hear that. Maybe it should be, but this is where I love that the Vikings can hammer things out in free agency. I love that Kwesi's really good at UDFAs, but we got to start hitting on draft picks because that's where the depth is. And you see the Chiefs, rocking and rolling with this 2022 class. I mean, you got several key starters, you got several awesome depth pieces, and the Vikings just did not have that from their 2022 class. That's frustrating. Yeah. Next. Oh, this is good. So everyone's talking about the Myles Garrett trade. I don't know where he ends up. I just don't want him to end up in Philly. That's it. But on Get Up, I think this is a chance to get ugly. So basically, Myles Garrett wants to trade. The Browns don't want to trade him. There won't be lacking of suitors. But Dan Orlovsky, he of the 11-yard end zones, listed Minnesota, Washington, Philly, Buffalo as 4 teams to watch. Now, schematically, does Garrett fit in with what the Vikings are doing right now? No. But if you have a chance to get a generational talent, and you're going to change your scheme. And I fully trust Flores to find ways to incorporate a hand in the dirt, close end of the field, a 4-3 defensive end into what they're doing right now, right? So there's not a situation of just like, oh, we don't need him. No. If a first ballot Hall of Famer with about 4 or 5 years of his absolute prime is available to you, and you can acquire him, and you have the money to pay him, and you want to go do it, at least have to listen, man. Absolutely. Even if you're good at edge rusher, you have to listen. It's exactly like Cooper Kupp. Well, we already have 2 good receivers. Yeah, one of them is going to be suspended for 3 games. Yeah, and also, you don't really have that true slot machine receiver. But I digress. But I obviously it would be great with Myles Garrett here, and life would find a way with Flores. But I mean, Washington with Garrett would be dangerous. Philly, I would hate it. Buffalo makes a ton of sense since they definitely need that help. Plus, he and Rousseau would be a nice duo there. So, I don't know. Let's see what happens. Lastly, so Super Bowl week. And, of course, we're reminded that the 06 Super Bowl halftime show, Prince, the best. I mean, it's not even close. Like, Prince is up here. Everyone else is down here. Like, over the weekend, we rewatched the Justin Timberlake halftime show. It wasn't good. Outside of the Prince tribute, it just was not good. And I don't know, like, maybe this is just me being like a boomer and stuff, but there's not like a singular Justin Timberlake song that you could say like 50 years from now is still going to be a classic on repeat. I'm bringing sexy back. Yeah. Is that going to be it? No. But, I mean, Purple Rain, Doves Cry. Oh, Pussy Control. That's going to be on repeat. Mainly because I'm still going to be around, maybe having dementia, thinking that the Vikings won 30 Super Bowls in a row, whatever. But, I mean, Prince in the pouring rain was just absolute on one, man. And, obviously him being from Minnesota makes us a little bit biased, but he's a true artist, pun intended. And just, a lot of, acts would just, lip sync it and just whatever. Well, it's not even a paycheck at the Super Bowl halftime show. You just make it up on the back end with increased iTunes sales or Spotify sales. But Prince went out there, rocked it. Plus, I love they covered a couple songs along the Watchtower. Plus, Dave Grohl and the Foo Fighters didn't know that he was going to cover Best of You until they were watching it on the Super Bowl. I mean, how awesome is that? All right. So obviously Dave Grohl been around the block. Nirvana, Foo Fighters, just a rock icon. But then see Prince, an icon in his own right, sampling your guys' song, Super Bowl, iconic in the rain, which is glorious. And also, Purple Rain at the end, just great. It's the perfect Super Bowl halftime show. Everyone else is sucking hind teat. It's not even close. But that's it. Anyways, Vikings news dump this glorious, wonderful Wednesday. You guys are the best. You know what to do. Skull production value.